Imani pulled Naomi closer, her knuckles white as she gripped the baby carrier with a strength born of pure terror. Every time a phone appeared at our family gathering, Imani turned her back, shielding the child like a precious secret. She did not just look tired, she looked hunted, her eyes darting toward every lens. "Do not post her," she repeated, her voice shaking with a frequency I could not yet understand. I brushed it off as simple new mother anxiety. I work in social media. I know how people crave engagement, how they hunger for a glimpse of something pure. I thought she was being dramatic, but the shadows under her eyes told a different story. The boundary was crossed when my aunt posted the cookout photos. I sat in bed at 2 a.m., the blue light of my phone searing my retinas as I scrolled through the gallery. In one shot, Naomi was staring past the lens, her gaze fixed on empty space, as if seeing something behind the viewer. I zoomed in, the pixels blurring, yet the intensity of her stare remained sharp. I did not move for 3 hours. The next day, the shift in our family was palpable. My aunt reposted the photos 4 times in a single hour. Derek set his phone wallpaper to a close-up of Naomi's face. The air in the room grew thick, heavy, with an inexplicable, competitive hunger that felt less like love and more like a fever. Everyone wanted to hold her. Everyone wanted her to look at them, as if her gaze provided some vital nutrient. Imani vanished from family events, retreating into a fortress of silence. She covered her apartment mirrors with thick, heavy blankets and taped over her laptop camera with black electrical tape. When I finally visited and asked why, she stared at me for a long time, her eyes hollow. "People start wanting her too much once they see her," she whispered, her voice a dry rasp. I tried to laugh, but the sound died in my throat. I knew that feeling. I had felt that same magnetic, oily pull every time I opened my phone to look at her picture. A week later, the chaos erupted like a festering wound. My aunt called at 4 a.m., sobbing hysterically, claiming she heard a baby crying in the walls of her empty apartment. Derek stopped answering his phone entirely. When his roommate finally broke down his door, the sight was nightmarish. Derek was sitting in the dark, bathed in the glow of a dozen screens, surrounded by hundreds of printed screenshots of Naomi. But the images were wrong. They were distorted, mutated. In some, the baby had different predatory eyes. In others, the bone structure of her face was elongated and wrong. The baby in the photos was shifting, evolving, feeding on the collective attention of those who stared. It was a digital parasite, growing stronger with every like, every share, every obsessive glance. I drove to Imani's apartment, my hands trembling so violently I could barely steer. I knew the thing in the photos was no longer just a memory. It was becoming a presence. Imani opened the door, her skin gray and sunken. Naomi sat in her arms, staring at me without blinking. "I told them," Imani whispered. She led me to the nursery, where every mirror was covered except for one. I made the mistake of glancing into the glass. Behind me, in the real world, Naomi was fast asleep, but in the reflection, the baby was wide awake. She was staring directly at me, her mouth stretching into a wide, hungry smile that no human child should ever possess.